Fandoms Anonymous.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fandom Talk. I got my main man on the line with me today. Got my boy Kevin Garland. Kevin, welcome back, man. We missed you last week.
Hey, man, I'm back in full effect, ready to do this.
Most definitely. And we got the one and only Jeremy Branch from B Terrible Productions out of Pensacola, Florida. What's going on, Jeremy?
What's up, guys? Glad to be back. I was just watching your Facebook video. I'm sure we can link everybody to it, but your story about the Krispy Kreme Power Rangers box, man, that had me dying. That had me dying. So, yeah.
I had to get one.
Power Rangers.
Most definitely. Guys, we thank you for joining us as you do every week. We're in full-fledged. There's so much stuff going on. Movie news, TV news, Netflix news, news. It's just, everything's just going on in full effect. So we're going to kick it off today talking about something that's near and dear to my heart. As you guys know, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie is dropping next week on March 24th. And if you don't know already, I am doing a countdown to the movie. So each day I'm releasing some new content in regards to Power Rangers. Not necessarily in regards to the movie, but in regards to the Power Rangers universe, debates, special interviews, conversations, podcasts. So just keep in touch to the Fandoms Anonymous YouTube channel. Of course, we'll be spreading those links throughout Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as well. But the streaming service Twitch is marathoning every last single Power Rangers episode. We're talking about 831 episodes. I'm not sure what season they have made it to as of right now. I plan on hopping on later and finding out. But what do you guys think about this Power Rangers hype that's going on that Twitch has decided to marathon each and every last episode leading up to the movie?
Well, I've probably seen 30 episodes of Power Rangers. You know, the first and second season I saw a little bit of, and to be honest, man, the excitement is kind of contagious. You're either a Power Rangers fan or you're not, it seems like. And the people who are into it are super into it, and that's cool. You know, I mean, in this community, it's always good to see people that are excited about stuff coming out. Man, 831 episodes?
We're talking spanning 25 years.
That's unbelievable. So, yeah, it reminds me, I was watching FXX a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. It's obviously a network that's owned by FX or Fox. And they played a Simpsons marathon. And, man, there are hundreds of episodes of The Simpsons. It's like the longest-running TV series other than General Hospital, something like that. You know, it's way up there on the list. And it's only got 600 episodes.
Right.
So that says something about how prolific this Power Rangers thing has become, and I'm curious about the movie. You know, I went and saw Kong Skull Island a couple days ago, and there's nothing I like more than watching big, gigantic monsters and robots smashing each other up. So it'll be fun, if nothing else. But, yeah, I am excited for the fans to finally get the big screen, big budget treatment for this property. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
Kevin, what's your take on this Twitch stream?
Jesus Christ, that is a lot of TV.
Yeah.
And I imagine that for some people, now obviously there are going to be people who have been in love with this show since the first episode all the way up until 831. But I imagine for some people, you know, because sometimes you tend to grow out of a property, you know, so I know a lot of Generation 1 fans, if you will, that were with the show for a couple years and then they grew up and got another thing. So I imagine this is one of those things where you can kind of dip in and dip out and kind of go back and see some of that stuff from yesteryear maybe you can't find somewhere. But I think Jeremy hit the nail on the head. Number one, this Power Rangers movie, while I'm not what you would call a Power Rangers fan, I am a fan of when Hollywood puts the right resources behind a property to give it the proper legs. Mm-hmm. So in essence, you can't do, in today's day and age, with as big as the Power Rangers can go, you don't want to do a $50 million Power Rangers movie. You know, that's just not going to work, you know, when it comes down to what you need to make it work. Looking at all the trailers, I think that Hollywood has put the right resources behind it. And the reason why you can put the right resources behind it is because of this marathon that Twitch is doing. Because you've got 25 years of TV to talk about. You know what I mean? And again, like to put it in perspective, The Simpsons. Everybody on Sunday night, you may not do this now, but you just used to cut the TV on Fox to watch The Simpsons. You know, football goes off, it rolls right to The Simpsons during football season. It's like muscle memory. I find myself doing it now. I may not even watch the episode, but I just turn to Fox because The Simpsons is on. And I think that a lot of people that don't like Power Rangers don't get it. They say it's stupid, this and that, or whatever. That's fine. You know, but inside this community, I think, you know, we embrace kind of everything, and we say, it may not be my jam, but good on you for getting yours, you know? So for the naysayers of Power Rangers, I'll say this. Every generation of kids since that first season here in the U.S., Power Rangers, everybody has their own series growing up. Whether you liked it or not, there was a Power Rangers series that was on during your time to be watching that show. So, again, it stood the test of time, you know, and I told Malcolm that before, whether I'm a fan or not doesn't matter. It's got 25 years of episodes to say why it deserves to get $120 to $150 million movie put behind it to make it right. So good on them, man. Not my jam, but good on them.
I was going to ask you guys both, I mean, if you're even familiar enough to say it, Malcolm, I'm sure you are, what is your favorite season of the Power Rangers or your favorite incarnation of the Power Rangers?
Of course, I always like the original. You can't go wrong with the original. But for me, it's Power Rangers Ninja Storm. To me, that was one of the most complete, grounded seasons. And speaking of that, we're having a conversation today with me, Robert Norwood, and Reginald Reed. We're all going to be talking about what season was our most powerful. So we're doing that today about 5 p.m., and I'm going to drop that within the days coming up with this countdown that I'm doing. But for me, it's Ninja Storm. Like I said, Ninja Storm was a complete, grounded season. It had an edge to it. So that's the one for me.
So Malcolm has been so locked into this Power Rangers thing. That's where your head's been at for the last couple of days. And I hit him up. I hit Malcolm up this morning and was like, "Hey, dude, you want to do a podcast today?" And I think it slipped your mind because you've just been so excited about it. So yeah, we came up with some topics, kind of off the head, you know, just some of the cool things that came up. But it's just cool, you know. It's how I am when Star Wars drops a new trailer or drops a new movie. So again, it's kind of contagious. I guess for me, my favorite season, it has to be the original because that's the one I'm most familiar with. Did Tommy become the White Ranger on season 1, or was that season 2?
Season 2, Tommy became the White Ranger, episode The White Light.
So I've seen quite a bit of those, too, and I did. I really liked Tommy as the White Ranger there for a little bit. So, yeah, I'm familiar with it. We'll see how it goes.
Most definitely. And speaking of Tommy, if you guys haven't checked it out, check out my interview with Jason David Frank. It's on the YouTube channel. Jason David Frank, of course, Tommy Oliver, the original Mighty Morphin Green Ranger, the White Ranger, just as Jeremy mentioned, that you guys remember. For some of you guys who are a little bit younger, he was the Red Zeo Ranger, the Red Turbo Ranger, and the Black Dino Thunder Ranger as well. And Kevin just, you know, dropped something on me this morning, and we look at the fact that Lionsgate has just confirmed, because we saw it on IMDb, that Jason David Frank and Amy Jo Johnson, the original Green Ranger and the original Pink Ranger, are cameoing in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. What they will be doing, we don't know. We do not know what they'll be doing, but they will be doing a cameo. So check out that interview that we got there on the channel.
So real quick before we move on, would you be disappointed if what we got was a Ghostbusters-style cameo and Jason David Frank was like a damn cab driver or something in the movie, or would you be cool just to see him involved with it?
Honestly, I'm half and half with that, Jeremy. I'm not even going to lie. I'm half and half with that. I'm glad that he was going to be doing something, but I wouldn't be mad if it was a minimal thing.
Sure.
I would be like, well, they could have used him in another light, but you have to realize he's not Tommy in this. If he's doing a cameo, they're going to more than likely have him and Amy Jo Johnson doing something specific. They could be teachers at the school, you know, at the school that the kids go to. We don't know what they're going to have them doing, but just the fact that their face is there is paying homage to that history and that 25-year lore, that 25-year universe. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I guess for me it would be no different than the Stan Lee cameo. He's been a bartender, an old Navy veteran. he's done everything. He doesn't necessarily have to be, that's Stan Lee. He created Marvel, or he's a comic book writer. He's placing those movies as what the definition of cameo is. A cameo. He pops in, he does something, you know the face. So just for that face value of them two in this, I think it's going to be pretty cool.
It's a good point.
But moving on to our next topic, we have supposedly Warner Brothers, if I'm correct, wants to do a Matrix reboot where Michael B. Jordan could be the star. Now, Kevin, what do you think about this supposed Matrix reboot?
Let me say this. I think the third Matrix movie, the end of that movie, when they're having a conversation, and he's explaining to their computer, basically the Matrix itself is explaining to Neo what's going on. It is some of the worst dialogue I've ever heard in film.
Right.
I'm just going to be honest with you. And it's not because it's a complicated process he's explaining. The process itself is very simple. However, if you've ever watched the DVD or Blu-ray, you know that the Wachowskis don't do interviews, and they didn't even do the commentary for the movie. They had a Harvard professor, I can't think of his name, the black guy with the wild hair and the glasses. He's in the movie. He shows up, and he gives this long dissertation on what the architect and these people are talking about in this film. It took me until I saw that to really, really understand what they were saying. Now, I had an idea, and my guess was right, but I could not, and this is just me personally, I could not extrapolate everything that he was trying to articulate, and I think there was a better way to write that dialogue. Okay, my problems with the third movie aside, you never have to stop making Matrix movies, okay? The landscape and the stories they can tell is rich. However, just because you don't have to stop doesn't mean you should keep going, okay? I think they gave some great stories in the supplemental movie they did in the Animatrix. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. So great. And I would venture to tell you that the Animatrix is probably up there with the first Matrix, in my opinion, as far as what they were able to pull off. So I just want to talk about the news that we have here. So can Michael B. Jordan carry this? Of course he can. Of course he can. There's no question in my mind about that. The real question is, are they going to do it with the Wachowskis? And the other question is, should they do this? And I just don't think it's time for the Matrix to come back. I don't think it's time. We know in this environment that we're in with Hollywood, it's going to come back. Let's just be honest. It's coming back at some point. Everything does. But I think timing is everything. And I think in the universe now where you got the Star Wars movies bookending the end of the year, the Marvel universe being out here, DC coming along or whatever, I just don't think it's time for the Matrix to come back. But I'm probably in the minority on that, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you a quick question. Now, when I heard Michael B. Jordan, I was like, okay, that's cool, because I couldn't think of anybody else. And then they're probably trying to be diverse. What's your personal opinion that makes you think Michael B. Jordan can carry this franchise?
I think Michael B. Jordan, I've watched him from Fruitvale Station through Creed. Michael B. Jordan has been a leading man and been somebody, obviously Fantastic Four aside. I mean, that movie sucks. And it's not his fault. He was in a production that fell apart either way. But I've watched him, and to see him on film and to see what he's able to do, the emotions that he can convey, again, we don't know what role he would be in, but let's assume he's the chosen one. Let's assume he's like Neo, okay? Let's assume he's the one. If you watch Fruitvale Station, if you watch Creed, the emotion that guy is able to spew on camera without saying anything, with his facial expressions and everything, it's the same kind of thing Keanu Reeves was able to do with Neo. If you watch the scenes with Neo, when Neo was in Zion and he's walking through and talking to people and everybody's trying to reach out to him, and the little kid that bent the spoon in the Matrix left him a spoon and everybody's talking to him, if you see the look of just sheer anguish on his face, Keanu Reeves isn't the guy that says a whole lot. He's pretty much the same guy in every movie, but I think he's great in those films. And I think Michael B. Jordan can emote that same thing. Not saying they want him to be the same. I'm just saying that I can see this role being in that regard. If you look at The Matrix, and to talk about, I know Malcolm mentioned a word here talking about diversity and everything or whatever. If you look at The Matrix, most of the people sitting on the council and even some of your lead characters in this film, that was a movie where that society of Zion had put all race and gender stuff aside. All that stuff was gone. If you really look at it, look at the High Council, look at Jada Pickett's character. I mean, look at Morpheus, look at the captains, look at the Asian people that were there. Like, it was like, look, damn what you are is us against the machine. And I think that that was a beautiful thing that they did with the films or whatever. And none of that ever mattered. It didn't matter that Trinity was a woman or, who's doing this. It's just, can you do this or not? So it's kind of good. And I like that, that anybody could be, strong or lead somebody or whatever. I think that's great. But I just think Michael B. Jordan is powerful enough as an actor to carry it. But the question is, what the hell is going to be happening around him? That's the question,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I got so many thoughts about this, guys. To tell you the truth, I was reading the article first, and then I got sidetracked because I found out the Wachowski siblings are the Wachowski sisters now. They started out as the Wachowski brothers. Fine. Whatever floats your boat. I don't care about that.
Wait a minute. Step back. What she said? So
the Wachowski
listen to him
brothers,
now. He's telling the truth.
The Wachowski brothers used to be billed as the Wachowski brothers. If you watch The Matrix, they were the Wachowski brothers. Bound, they were the Wachowski brothers. And then one of Larry claimed to be a transgender. Again, that's fine. So he went through the transition and became a woman. So now Larry is now Lana. And we knew that. That's been a couple of years now. And they've started being billed as the Wachowski siblings. Now they're not the brothers anymore because one of them's a woman, so now they're the siblings. And then I didn't even know it till today, but now they're the Wachowski sisters. So both of them have went through the transition to become women. And I was just wondering, like the way my brain works, I was just wondering what the probability of two transgender siblings was, if it is but yeah, we could go real deep into that stuff, but I was just surprised. As far as The Matrix goes, Kevin, you nailed it on the head. There are so many stories to explore within this universe. It doesn't have to be related to the first films at all to be a great story. It doesn't have to be a remake. They can carry on the franchise as it ever was and just they don't have to ignore what happened before, but they should build on that. And I don't think it's time for a remake either, because that first film is so groundbreaking. It was so revolutionary in the way that movies were even made. Everybody started throwing the bullet time into their action movies, or where the camera would spin while the character stays in the same place. So a lot of the visual elements were just ate off of that movie. I mean, even still till today, So it's a very influential martial arts movie with action and heady philosophy stuff or philosophical stuff in it. So I don't want to see another The One. As the name implies, there's one of them. You know what I mean? And then, Kevin, you started that expository scene where he meets the person that constructed the Matrix. We do realize that he was like the fourth version of The One, and
right.
As far as I can extrapolate, they tried to do it a couple times before, so maybe this could be that movie. But part of me wonders, is Michael B. Jordan too good of an actor? Because as much as I love Keanu Reeves, and I do, he's a great person as far as the charity work and donating, I think 90% of the money that he made from The Matrix to cancer research. So the dude's a superhero in real life. John Wick is fantastic, but he's kind of a blank slate. And I think that's why he works so well for the Matrix, is because we could all put ourselves in his position, right? So I feel like Michael B. Jordan brings a layer of dramatic acting and a layer of pathos to his, like Fruitville Station or something like that. He's a layered actor that's able to emote more than one note. He can be several things, where Keanu Reeves is just kind of always the same thing, like you had mentioned. So I don't know. I got real conflicting feelings about it. I think that The Matrix is a great universe that was built. It's ripe for multiple stories to be put in there. But with Ghost in the Shell coming out, and with all of this anime stuff becoming more in the forefront of our culture, I feel like now it's going up against the standard that it set and the precedent that it set. Till now, we're going to be like, none of that's groundbreaking. None of that's revolutionary. We've seen it a million times because of The Matrix, but now it just feels like it's not going to have that thing that made The Matrix so important of a cultural milestone. And one more point before I start rambling on again, is that Will Smith was originally supposed to be Neo. So in a way, it doesn't feel like reverse engineering, or it doesn't feel like pandering to have Michael B. Jordan in that role. And you nailed it, like, about the diversity and all of that. It never drew attention to, like, hey, these are the white characters, and the white characters act like this, and these are the black characters, so they got to act like this. It was never even a part of the, like, you could cast anybody in any of those roles, and it wouldn't have changed the meaning of the movie. And I think that more movies need to be made like that in the first place. So on that note, I think that, The Matrix was ahead of its time in a lot of ways. But I'm curious, if I did see they went into production, I'd be there, lined up opening day to see how it went. But, yeah, the Animatrix is a great example of how you can take that primary story and just go off in so many directions that, the potential is just endless.
Can I jump back in there for a second?
Go ahead, Kev.
I just want to say this. So Jeremy hit the nail on the head about The Matrix, and we kind of got to talk about this from the standpoint of the movie being revolutionary. So for those people that don't know, the first Matrix came out in 1999. If you listen to this podcast, you probably know that. But look at what happened to the X-Men franchise as a result of The Matrix. Everybody went black leather. So you have to look at that. And I'm not saying that, they didn't try to put good costumes together and it didn't work. I'm just saying that The Matrix made it okay to do black leather. There was no questions, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Also, when you talk about Bullet Time, do you know Bullet Time was that thing that we saw in the parodies and all these other movies and whatnot? And then the movie that changed after that, to me, it was the Firstborn movie. Because Paul Greengrass decided to do shaky cam doing his fight scenes. And then now we're still kind of dealing with the shaky cam era. And so The Matrix, is one of those important films that just blew everybody away. And I like exactly what you said, Jeremy. It's like, you come out now and you're putting The Matrix against its own self, and now how it's been watered down. Maybe for a kid that's 16 or 17 now who hasn't seen the original Matrix, and he's seen whatever movie, he thinks they're borrowing from them. It's like, no, if you go back, the roots are right here. This is the first time we saw this right here, So
absolutely,
it's a dangerous thing. But I wanted to jump back in there because the first Matrix is very, very important. But go ahead, Malcolm. I'm sorry, man.
You said something, Jeremy. You said, is Michael B. Jordan too good of an actor? And it makes you think, when you reboot a property and then you start choosing actors who are notable because that's who's out during this time, I begin to make the point that I feel like he is too good of an actor. I mean, look at what he's done in only the three or four movies he's been in since he's really been on the scene. And then now you're about to put him in Black Panther inside of the Marvel machine. That's what I start calling it, the Marvel machine.
Right.
So it makes you wonder, is he too good of an actor to do The Matrix? Because each time you try to rehash something, you want to find that notable person to put in that place to carry the role. Somebody's going to recognize, like, I'm going to go see this movie because this person is in it. I understand it was from way back when, but because this person is in it, I'm going to see this movie. And, just alluding to Power Rangers, I think that's what Lionsgate had in mind. Number one, they have a good relationship with Elizabeth Banks. It was like, okay, let's make her Rita Repulsa. She can do great characters. So a lot of people who know nothing about Power Rangers but like Elizabeth Banks, that's where they're going to get ticket sales from. Same thing with Bryan Cranston. Bryan Cranston has done some amazing work from Breaking Bad to Malcolm in the Middle, some of the other movies he's done. And if you guys don't know this, Bryan Cranston used to voice some of the monsters on Power Rangers in the 90s when he first started out. And also, Billy Cranston, which is the Blue Ranger, in the original series and even in the movie, Billy Cranston, his last name on the TV show was Cranston because of Bryan Cranston.
Oh, wow.
So, a lot of these projects that come back and do reboots and do remakes, and even with The Matrix, they want to pull in that notable character. And right now, Michael B. Jordan is that young, notable character that people are knowing in movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I feel like,
absolutely.
he might be too good of an actor to do The Matrix. But who else are you going to get to really carry the movie?
Yeah, he is kind of that marquee guy, like you said, right now. And he is getting wrapped up into the Marvel machine. But as we've seen in movies past, like Malekith or, even Ultron, they get one movie. James Spader got brought on for that one film, and he'll probably never be back. So maybe Michael B. Jordan is going to be the character that gets waxed at the end of Black Panther, because I'd imagine they're going to keep Andy Serkis involved because he's already had a role in Ultron. So I do see that he'll probably have the freedom on his schedule to do it, even because he probably didn't sign that 6-picture deal, I'm imagining, because he's got so many other projects that he can do right now that I can't imagine him wanting to get bogged down by just being the Marvel guy now. But that's just speculation, And maybe he could dumb himself down. I mean, maybe he could play that blank slate character because he's that good of an actor. Maybe he doesn't have to put his all into it, and we could still get the performance that we need out of him. But, as far as being the right man for the job, I don't think they could go much better in that direction. I've never seen him fight before, other than Creed, I guess, actually. But the choreography wasn't the showcase in Creed. It was more of the drama and all of those things. Even though the fight at the end was super good, I've just never seen him do the kung fu stuff,
Right. We'll get to see him do some type of fighting, going over into the Black Panther movie. Guys, we're going to move on to our next topic. And, man, this is a topic I'm excited about. I grew up on Chappelle. I used to watch Chappelle even though I wasn't supposed to watch Chappelle. Dave Chappelle is making a comeback. If you guys saw him, he hosted Saturday Night Live, and that was one of the best episodes of Saturday Night Live that I had ever seen. And, it's up there with me and the Justin Timberlake episode. Justin Timberlake, he rules SNL. But if you guys know, Dave Chappelle, big sketch comedy show on Comedy Central back in the day. Hilarious sketches, too many, countless to name. And he decided to go away. He was offered over about $50 million. Am I right, Kevin? Was around that much?
Yeah, 40 to 50 million, somewhere in there.
40 to 50 million to do a new season of Chappelle. A lot of people speculated why he left. They said, well, maybe the money was too big for him. Maybe it was this, maybe it was that. But in actuality, what we found out later was that they wanted Chappelle, going into this new season, to do what everybody else has been doing for laughs, which was to dress like a woman. Now, there's probably many other things that played part in this, and I think Kevin might have a big thing to say about that. But that was one of the things that I heard, and that was one of the things that he said he was not going to do. He was not going to dress like a woman for laughs. And I mean, Kevin, what do you think about the return of Chappelle? And I know we're talking about the return of Chappelle, but we do have to touch on why he was gone.
Well, again, first let me back up here. I've been rocking with Dave Chappelle a long time. I am not the biggest fan of his stand-up, by the way, but I have followed his career. Half Baked is one of my favorite movies, period, just because of the ridiculousness in that movie. It's hilarious to me. I've never been a stoner, never will be one, but I still enjoy that movie. The thing about that type of responsibility, and when you look around, and Dave Chappelle explained this on Inside the Actor Studio with James Nippon. He talked about people, I guess if for lack of a better term, laughing a little bit too hard at some of the things they were doing and stuff just not seeming right. And what happens is this is one of those rare times and rare occurrences where somebody's conscience wouldn't allow them to go along any further. Now, what I believe is that it is several different things. And that story about the dressing like a woman was definitely one of those. I definitely read that, and that's definitely something he said he wasn't going to do and stuff they wanted. And what happens is when you have such a show that becomes so large and is worth so much money or whatever, just like when we talk about these movies, we talk about Warner Brothers and any other movie studio, they decide they want to put their hands in the pot, and now executives want to become a writer. Now, because I'm an executive, I'm going to send notes to Neil Brennan and tell him, you know what would be funny? If we put Dave Chappelle in a costume like Big Mama. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So what happens is when you and I, and I'll use superhero movies to kind of explain my point here. Josh Trank did Chronicle. Excellent superhero film that is an original property with him and Max Landis. Okay? Michael B. Jordan is in that. Another movie where I saw Michael B. Jordan's, acting kind of shine. That movie was shot for, I want to say the budget was between $10 to $12 million, okay? When the studio executives get together and they have their meeting and they're going down the list of movies that they need to keep their thumbprint on, if you will, movies in that small of a budget don't even get briefed to the big wigs, okay? There are people that are under them that make sure those movies come in on time and on budget. But what Warner Brothers is concerned about is the $150 million blockbuster and the marketing campaign and the focus groups on that movie. So Josh Trank was able to create Chronicle uninterrupted. Nobody gave him any notes from the studio to change this and change that. What him and Max Landis wrote is what they shot. That movie was a hit, okay? He goes and he gets Fantastic Four. Now all of a sudden, what we wrote is cool, and then next month they come back and say, well, we got to cut 2 action sequences because I'm cutting $20 million from your budget. Oh, they don't like the flying car. They don't like the talking robot that's there or whatever. So now you start picking this movie apart. Some directors, they recover from that. They find a way to make it work, and they move forward. Some people implode like he did. Dave Chappelle is a perfect example. Him and Neil Brennan and the writers on that staff and those guys, they put together a great set of comedy sketches. It was great. It started catching on and growing legs or whatever. Now everybody wants to have a say-so on what they think is funny. And see, that in itself right there, when you got people who may not necessarily understand a particular person, understand a particular culture, or understand the type of laugh somebody's going for, they don't get it. They don't understand that while Dave Chappelle is making fun of Rick James or whatever, these are real stories that actually happened. And he made Rick James this huge character or whatever. So people who may not understand the culture, understand what Dave is doing, look at that and say, well, you know what? Last season we had this crazy guy with these dreads or these braids put his foot on Eddie Murphy's couch. This season we should get Dave to put a dress on. And when you try to sell comedy to a comedian, it's never going to work. So like I said, whatever they asked him to do, whoever tapped him on the shoulder or whatever, he looked at that money dead in the face and said, if I take this money, I'm going to lose my integrity as far as what I think is funny, what I want to do, and what I want to put out there. And one of the rarest moves we've ever seen, he backed out. Again, so the same thing with Josh Trank, but Josh didn't back out. Josh went ahead forward, but he imploded. And see, had Dave Chappelle stayed, we might be looking at a Josh Trank situation to where the notes from the studio would have got so bad that they couldn't do this or do that anymore. Because you got to think, when a show makes that much money, and I know I'm being long. I apologize, guys. But when a show makes that much money, the advertisers kind of get a little bit of a say of what's going on. Oh, I don't want to advertise my product if you're doing racial jokes. Oh, I don't want to advertise my product when you're doing this and that. And at the point when you sell your soul, your creative freedom goes out the door. So I think that's where we are with Dave Chappelle. Like I said, I know that was long, but I just had to break it down.
No, man, you actually dropped a lot of really good insight as far as that goes. My sentiment going into it was Dave Chappelle got so sick and tired of people coming up to him in the street and saying, "I'm Rick James, bitch," that he was just like, "Fuck this, I'm going to Africa, I'm done."
Right,
and,
that too. Yeah.
You know, to him. Because most people don't have that integrity. So, I mean, Dave Chappelle is just this beacon of hope for artists. Like, you can turn down $50 million, and you'll still be okay when you're looking at the kind of money that Dave Chappelle is reaping in from DVD sales, even years after the series was released, because not a lot of people even think about the fact that the Chappelle Show was one strong, amazing season full of just so many hilarious sketches. Season 2 was hit and miss, and then those lost tapes, it's like, man, they should have kept them lost, because that did not work for me at all. Dave Chappelle dresses Yoda. No thanks. No thank you. I'm good. But, you know, I'm with you about his stand-up. It's not always been the best. Killing Him Softly is obviously my favorite of the lot of them. And me and Malcolm were talking last week about Netflix just taking over the market, but they've put their stamp on stand-up for about a year now, where people release their stand-up specials to Netflix, and it's working very well for them. It's working very well for the creators. But when I heard that he was signing a 3-special stand-up deal, I was already like, man, how much material does this dude have? That's 3 hours of stand-up. I mean, most comedians are working on a 5-minute set, are working on a 10-minute set, so they can get up on open mic night and crush with their best material. But 3 hours is a long time, and I do know that when Chappelle was doing those small shows in New York, he was doing like 5-hour sets. So I can't really say. Maybe he does have 3 hours worth of really strong material, but I don't want to see Dave Chappelle get overexposed again, because that's how he lost him the first time. It's like, you think about any comic, right? Chris Rock, just another one off the top of my head. Great comedian, had so many good stand-up specials, but then when you see him as the zebra in Madagascar or whatever little bit they put him in, it's the same thing that Malcolm was mentioning, or that Kevin was mentioning, that they just want you to do what already worked for you, so you end up hearing the same joke over and over again, and it's that overexposure that just ruins comedians. So we'll see how 3 hours goes. Again, I respect the hell out of this dude. I love the fact that he's able to smoke cigarettes inside venues and inside the actor's studio and all that, just because he's Dave Chappelle. He don't care, you know what I mean? And that's just been able to cut out his own path and do his own thing. And I think that's fantastic. And I don't want to think that he's going to end up selling his soul to Netflix now that he's evaded it for so long. But that's just kind of my thoughts on it.
Well, I'm with you. I made a point on my personal Facebook page when they announced that Dave was going to be coming back doing this. He turned down $50 million, and he's just about tripled it. Well, not even tripled it. Add another 20 or 30 million on it, or like anywhere between extra 10 to 30 million extra that he's going to be getting for these Netflix specials that he's doing. So he turned down that amount of money and didn't fall for the okie doke, as we'll say sometimes, and came back even stronger. Came back, getting SNL really set him off again. Because people who knew Chappelle were like, oh, man, Chappelle is back. And people who didn't know too much about him were like, okay, this dude is hilarious. I remember that night Chappelle came on, me and my friend were at work. I said, dude, when we get off work, we going straight to my house. And I don't live too far from my job, so we came straight here. We cooked us something to eat, and we were sitting in front of the TV waiting on Chappelle. Man, and it was just rich, man. And I'm glad that he's coming back. I'm glad, like I said, when I saw the trailer, and like I said, I didn't know that it was coming out this early. I thought it was going to be like maybe April or May. But to see it slated March 21st, I think that's next month, Tuesday or Wednesday. So it's coming out in the middle of the week. Now, it's actually next, let's see, the 23rd is Thursday. So it's next Tuesday. Rocking on Tuesday. So I'm definitely excited for Chappelle. I'm excited for his return. I'm excited for everything that he's going to be doing and how he's going to branch off. And will we get a new Chappelle show season, or will we get something else new? We don't know. So I hope so. I really do.
I think Dave is done with the sketch comedy thing or whatever in a certain regard. But I want to say this real quick before we jump off of this. I hear what Jeremy's saying, and I echo his sentiment. But I think there's one thing about Dave Chappelle. After watching his interview with James Lipton on Inside the Actors Studio, he seems to me to be a celebrity that is really in control of what he's got going on. And I don't think there's anybody in the world that can get him to sign on for more than he's ready to do. So the fact that he signed that deal kind of puts me at ease, you know what I'm saying? Kind of like, okay, well, if he did that, because I heard the same thing you heard, he was out at these comedy clubs doing 5-hour sets, workshopping material. Like, man, like as long-winded as I am, 5 hours, man, that is amazing. So I'm hoping that, like I said, because he is in such control of his destiny, he's been to the top before and decided that wasn't for him, and stand-up is where it's at, that he's ready. So, but that's, I agree with you guys, though, you know.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know if you guys got a chance to check it out yet. I was kind of perusing the internet this morning looking for different stories to talk about, and I stumbled upon the Red Band trailer for a movie coming out. It's got Ryan Reynolds in it. It's got Jake Gyllenhaal in it. It's got a couple other notable actors in it, and it's called Life. Essentially, there is a crew of people up in a space station, and they uncover the first proof of extraterrestrial life. It looks like a little microorganism. They're looking at it under a microscope, and then the thing latches on to the scientist, and we go from there. You know, it looks like one of those contained space thrillers. And before I get to my thoughts on it, though, I kind of just wanted to know, Kevin, did you get a chance to watch the trailer? And if so, what are your thoughts on it?
I did, and I'm going to make you guys laugh because this is a horror movie trope that we see a lot, and I see a lot of people make jokes about it. So with the Alien franchise, you know, they always go and they find the eggs, and the first thing somebody does is put their face over the egg.
Yeah.
You know, when the face suckers come out, you know what I mean? It's always like, you guys are a group of scientists, and the first thing you do is put your face over something like this, you know? And
you're asking
historically, right, you're asking for it. Historically, it's always been a white guy. So in this trailer, what made me laugh is this black guy not only puts his face over the damn thing, he puts his hand in there. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, touche, movie universe, touche. You know what I mean?
Not only do we have the guy sticking his face over the alien, we've got the first person on the ship getting killed is the black dude.
It's the black dude, you know what I mean? So there we go. So, but all seriousness, I don't know how I feel about this film. Like, I've seen all the trailers. I watched the Red Band trailer, and I can say this looks like business as usual to me with this type of film. But there's something about this cast that's kind of got me perplexed. Like, you get Jake Gyllenhaal showing up and Ryan Reynolds, and, you know, I mean, I'm just kind of like, there might be something to this. Like, I'm almost feeling like there may be a twist in here somewhere or something we didn't see coming, you know? And it's almost, I'm kind of intrigued. I want to check it out, but I'll give my recommendation on it. This is definitely a matinee for me. You know what I mean? Like a calculated risk, like, all right, I'm going to spend $5 and see what they're talking about. Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
What do you think about it, Malcolm, from what you've seen?
I think with me, I'm right along with Kevin and what you said, Jeremy. It was like, okay, so why the black guy got to be the scientist? I know what's about to happen. You know, and the way, you know, it's leading up to it. This is unlike any organism we've ever seen.
And we're just glad to see this. What do you think about it, Doc? Well, I think that it's you saw it coming.
Yeah.
You saw it coming. I really don't have too much to say about it. Like Kevin said, and I'm going to just leave it at that. Like Kevin said, it might be a good matinee. And I trump your $5 with the good old $3.99 at AMC here in Alabama.
There you go.
Yeah, man. I think it looks like a straight-up Alien ripoff. Like, from one shot to the next, every single beat of that trailer is just something we've seen in Alien. There's one shot in particular. I think it's Jake Gyllenhaal at this particular moment. He's walking down a corridor, and he says he doesn't see anything. And then over his shoulder, we see this tail, or at least a tentacle, drop down slowly in the top quadrant of the frame. It's the exact same shot that we saw the Xenomorph do in the original Alien movie.
Right.
They didn't deviate from it at all. It's like they're wearing their influences on their sleeve. Kevin, when you said, I agree with you, Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds are not in a position where they just have to take any shitty script that comes up.
Yeah.
Both of these guys are respectable actors, so maybe they saw something in the script. Maybe there is a twist in there somewhere that is like, oh, this really is something unique and this really is something original. But right now, I'm seeing a just straight up Alien ripoff, and we've had them before. You know, we're going to have them again, but this one just seems blatant. And one of the things that I thought was funny, just another little tidbit of trivia, there was a freeze frame from the trailer. It's a reaction shot of a group of people in New York City looking up at the sky, assumingly watching this space shuttle barrel towards the Earth. But that shot was used in Spider-Man 3. It's the exact same stock footage of a reaction shot from Spider-Man 3. So I thought that was pretty
Are you serious?
Yeah. I'll have to link you to it here in a minute. Yeah, it's crazy. And whoever this Redditor was that saw that and was like, oh, that's from Spider-Man 3. It's like, dude, you are observant.
Wow.
Because I don't see how you could put those two together. I mean, Spider-Man 3 has been out for 15 years or something like that. So, you know, props to that one person that was able to say what?
And I'm still trying to forget it, by the way.
Yeah, no doubt. So they're drawing relations between the worst Spider-Man movie in the series, maybe the worst Spider-Man movie of all time, and then just looking like an Alien ripoff. So I'm going to kind of track it, see what it starts to look like a little closer to release. But right now, with Alien Covenant coming out at virtually the same time, it's like, which one am I going to pick? You know what I'm saying? So we'll see how it goes.
Shoot, man, I don't know, but but moving along. As you guys all know, other than our podcast, there are hundreds and thousands of other podcasts out there that do all type of genres and everything. But one of my particular favorites that I watch every day is Collider. And yesterday, Kaladan Heroes, which is hosted by John Snap, they celebrated their 100th episode. And it was an amazing 2-hour episode. I watched it from beginning to end.
Yeah.
And I love Kaladan Heroes. I love Collider itself, the different genres. Although Roka made me real mad yesterday. I was watching Mailbag. Roka made me real mad. He was like, Power Rangers, the Mighty Morphin thing is going to bomb. I almost flipped off the computer screen, and I was like, nope, I'm not going to do that. Because even though it's my finger, even though it's my finger,
Transformers.
Right. I said, even though it's my finger, that can still affect him in some type of way. So I'm going to reserve my finger. But the Collider Heroes 100 episode. So congrats to John Snell and John Campion and the whole Collider Heroes staff. Robert Meyer Burnett, I love him on there as well. He showed off his Hot Toys collection. Those things are expensive. That man had probably about $10,000 or more worth of toys and collectibles in that office that he went through. So did you guys get a chance to check out Collider's Heroes 100 episode?
Kevin?
Yeah, I did. So I listened to the podcast version, so I listened to Robert Meyer Burnett go over his toys, but I didn't see them. Roka is a funny guy because Roka is the one person on their staff that defends Independence Day resurgence.
Right.
And he loves the Transformers film. So, again, not knocking him because he found something that he likes. It's just that when your tastes line up or don't line up with a certain person, you know to take what they say with a grain of salt. So that's just kind of my deal with him. But I actually like the guy. The episode was fantastic. For those people that may be local listening to this podcast, in Alabama, Florida area, Comic Book Girl 19 was on there. She's from Alabama. So,
really?
Again, the Southern representative up there. Yeah, she said it on her show a lot, and I think she's from, if I'm not mistaken, she's from Huntsville, up in northern Alabama. But, yeah, so she was on the show and answered questions well. So I really enjoyed it. I love that show, and I tune in to all the episodes, so it's great.
Yeah, same here. It's probably my second or third favorite podcast that I listen to. I still got to give the edge to Movie Talk because you guys know me. I'm a movie guy. It's not necessarily just one genre. It's not necessarily just a superhero genre. I love all movies, but it's really insightful. You go and listen to they call themselves sweaties, but they're people that live comic books. Either they're writers, they're creators of some kind, or they're involved. Like Amy Dolan works, she's the owner of a comic book store. She does the Geeks and Sundry thing. So it's just been really cool to watch that show from, where they started out to where they are now, and how they were able to keep it so consistent and so focused in this one area of filmmaking is awesome. That we're able, to have a 1-hour conversation about superhero movies specifically every week is amazing, So I love the episode. I'm a little bit on the fence about Comic Girl 19, y'all. I don't know if I like her so much, but, not personally. It's nothing to do with that. I don't know her like that, but there's just something about the way she carries herself and her swagger and stuff. It doesn't really speak to me personally, but I love Jason Inman and Ashley V. Robinson, So there's enough good to definitely outweigh the couple of little elements that I thought didn't work about that show. Seeing Robert Meyer Burnett's collection was really dope. Like Malcolm had alluded to, it's thousands of dollars worth of toys and collectibles, which, props to the nerd community for having so much expendable income, because I'm holding on to the little bit of money I have tight. So
I know that's right, man.
Yeah, man. It's cool to look at other people's, but yeah, I couldn't fork over the dough for that. Pop toys are more my speed, But I don't know. I do think, to go back to the Rocha thing, the one thing that I pull from Rocha is that he doesn't give a shit, man. It's not all about what the other critics are saying. He'll stand up for his own personal taste above what other people are going to say about him. Yeah, I feel like in this community, in the space that we're in, I and not to take away from what anybody's doing, but I feel like there's so many parrots in this community where, I'm a movie critic and I don't want my audience to lose their respect of me or lose my credibility with them. So I'll go on Rotten Tomatoes and I'll read 20 different reviews from the movie that I'm going to talk about, and I'll cherry pick little things from what each of them says, and then all of a sudden it's not even my opinion anymore, right? It just has become what other people think my opinion should be. So to see a guy stick up for something like Independence Day Resurgent is refreshing to me because it's honest. And even if I don't agree with it, that's kind of the beauty of it, is that we don't all have to agree on any of it as long as we can have a constructive discussion about it. And that's what I love about podcasting so much, is that we all bring ourselves into the equation. And at the end of the day, that's what separates Fandom Talk from any other podcast, from what I do on the weekends, is we might all have a similar formula, but it's our individuality that makes every podcast what it is. So, I did want to just touch on that real quick. But congratulations to Collider.
Well, guys, our last topic for today is we're going to talk about the first reviews for Iron Fist. Now, apparently they released the first 6 episodes out to the media or some of the press to review. And Rotten Tomatoes apparently got a hold on it, and they've listed it at 14%. Kevin,
tell us what's going on about this Iron Fist first 6 episode situation.
Okay, so what we have here is the members of the press and certain members of, communities, maybe Kaladan, those guys over there would definitely be worthy to get the first 6 episodes. And what happens is they get the first 6 episodes, and then there may or may not be an embargo on the reviews. And historically, with these Netflix series, the embargo is lifted, at least a week or 2 ahead of time before the show releases. Now, every one of these shows has gotten rave reviews. Every one of them. However, let's talk about what we have said. And everybody on this phone at some point or another has said, hey, I like this season of this show. They probably could have cut out 2 or 3 episodes. You know what I mean? We talked about Luke Cage, and I remember all of us thinking, man, the first half of that thing was great. The second half was just decent. And if they could have just maybe wrapped it up in 8 episodes or whatever, it would have been great. Well, we're in a situation now where critics, people, and I don't know how many people it is, got the first 6 episodes, and we're sitting at a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, there's been some controversy behind this. We talked about this in this podcast before. In this day and age, casting, a white Danny Rand to go over to learn the mystic arts, to come back and all this and that or whatever. Number one, I have not seen the show, and neither has anyone on this phone. So the first thing is, we know the origin story was built at Marvel at a time where, that was acceptable, and maybe that's not so acceptable today. Okay, we got it. But the second point I want to make is, we haven't seen it yet. We don't know in what context this all takes place. The third thing I want to bring out is, critics have only seen the first 6 episodes, as has been reported to us at this point. If I gave you 1/4 or half of the Mona Lisa, you wouldn't think it was a masterpiece.
Good point.
So I can't sit here and add credence to a 14% rating on a series that you haven't seen the whole series, and that 14% is aggregate, by the way. It's counting all the reviews. On a series you haven't seen the whole thing. Because this could be a Marvel series that starts off slow, so this could be the first time that this Netflix series, the first 6 aren't that great, and the last 6 are on fire.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we could be in a situation like that. All I'm going to say about what I think about the show is, I didn't like the casting of Danny Rand. I don't like the way he looks, and I haven't enjoyed him in the trailer so far. And I want to go on record saying it has nothing to do with the character being white or Asian or whatnot. I could care less about that. I couldn't care less about that, because historically Danny Rand has been a white guy. As far as everything I've read and what I've seen, I'm completely okay with that. Because if you're going to argue for Danny Rand to be an Asian guy, then Luke Cage could be Mexican.
Yeah.
So if you're going to argue it all the way around. And I just think that for fans of Iron Fist, right, fans of Iron Fist who want to see him, want to see Danny Rand, and that is who Danny Rand is. I think the responsibility Marvel has is to maybe smooth that story out and make it a little bit better than the original story. Okay, that's where I think their responsibility lies. But I think they had a chance to get maybe a ripped martial artist to play this part, and the fact that they didn't tells me that they're going somewhere with the heart and soul of this show that they needed a real, legit actor for. So this one may not be what everybody thought it was going to be, and that could be the problem. It's not so much that it's a bad show. It's just that maybe this Iron Fist show has a little bit more heart than people think it should have, because of what we know Iron Fist to be. And that's just a speculation. I haven't seen the lick of the show yet, so I'm willing to go there with them. But I'm just like you guys. Come Friday, I'm going to turn it on and watch it, and we'll come back to it.
Yeah, one important thing to mention, and Kevin had kind of, touched on it just very briefly, and this is just something quick for some of the listeners that may not be aware. Rotten Tomatoes is an algorithm. There's nobody working at Rotten Tomatoes with an agenda. What the software on the site does is it takes from selected critics, so there may be a little bias there, but it'll take, say, from 500 different published critics, and if they said, I give this movie 2 stars out of 4, they categorize that as a negative review. So a 14% doesn't mean on a scale of 100 the movie's being averaged to 14%, it means 14% of the critics that reviewed it gave it a positive. So it's not a clear indication of how high or low the quality is going to be. And the reason I say that is because 14% or, 86% of the people that saw Iron Fist could have thought it was all right, and that still would decrease the score. So just for anybody that didn't know that, I just wanted to throw that out there. That being said, when something is 14%, it's going to make you worry about it, right? So I can understand why, why Rotten Tomatoes scores matter. But there's a couple of things that I wanted to touch on. And first, this might be a little bit controversial, depending on where you stand on the spectrum. But I don't really believe in cultural appropriation that much, especially in America. Like, we all appropriate each other's culture. That's what the beauty of America is. It's a melting pot. So we take elements of different cultures that we love, whether it's for us who are on the line right now loving anime, whether it's for, Wu-Tang Clan loving martial arts movies. You know what I'm saying? It's deeper than that. So I don't really I don't really care about the race of the casting, especially if it does sync up with what the actual story is. So this could be a TV show that's for the fans, but isn't necessarily for critics. And that's okay. Maybe the fans will still really like it. In my experience, all of the Netflix shows have been real front-loaded, as in the first half of every season has been incredible, and then they keep going on, and it gets a little bit less interesting as it goes along. Kevin had made the point, maybe this is the one season that's going to be super strong in the second half, and in the first half it's boring, I don't have any objection to the actor, Finn Jones. I'm not familiar enough with his work to say one way or the other. But what I believe is that Iron Fist is standing next to the previous Marvel films, so they may not rate it the same way. Like, if Iron Fist were the first Netflix series, would it still have the same rating? And the reason, again, that I say that is because Daredevil was so well received. Jessica Jones was so well received. People loved Luke Cage and Iron Fist, or Luke Cage. So I wonder if it's just like, it's not as good as those previous ones. I'm just going to dismiss it outright. Oh, it's not as good as the other three. Well, does that mean it's a bad show, or does that just mean it's not as good as three really good shows? So that's kind of where I'm at on it. I will give it a chance. I am a little bit worried about it. And you know what? If this is Marvel's first major misstep, fine. It was inevitable. Eventually they were going to have to screw up. Might as well be on a character I don't care about, and that's fine. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what? And I'm with you, and I'm going to back up for a second. Their first major misstep was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that.
Just hear me out. I'm not trashing the show. What I'm saying is, that is the one thing they have that's being reviewed that is very divisive. The people that love it really love it, and then there's the other half of the people that don't. And we're sitting here right now. There are articles online debating whether they're going to get another season. That's what I'm saying. So they've had that misstep. I think when you have a formula that they have like on Netflix, you run into a problem. I guarantee you this thing is going to be non-linear storytelling. And we're going to get some episodes, and they're going to go back and tell you how Danny Rand ended up in Kunlun's training and becoming the Iron Fist and all that. And then we'll get to the business of him being the Iron Fist in the last half of the season.
Right.
That is the way they pull that thread over there. That's how they built that universe. People get tired of that stuff. And I also think that, me personally, what I thought they should have done, and this is me not having seen the show, I thought they should have introduced Iron Fist with Luke Cage. And let's get some groundwork here, and then why don't you make us interested in seeing where this guy came from and what's going on with him? Because right now, people are just seeing this curly-haired guy with this cool tattoo on his chest, and everybody, and I'm talking about outside of our fandom, people are like, well, who the hell is this guy? This doesn't look as cool as anything I've seen so far. And I think that's kind of the drawback to it. Also, some of these critics, they want your clicks. So they put it in the title, Marvel's first big misstep or whatnot. And then you might get in there and read the article and you find out, well, this sounds like exactly what they said it would be. You know? So it's one of those things where we all have to reserve judgment until we see it. And I would like to put this out to you guys that we go back and review the whole show. I think we should do maybe the first half of the season and the second half. I think all three of us should get together, man, and talk about it. You know, if it sucks, it sucks. But we will have given it a shot, and we can communicate to people what we saw.
I will say also the vibe that I was catching from the first teaser and then the first trailer was like, this looks like Batman Begins. This looks like Batman's origin story. And for the layman, to the guy who's not as familiar with the comic books, it just looks like one of those origin stories. It looks like it borrows stuff. Because Bruce Wayne was over in Asia training with the League of Shadows for so many years. He comes back and tries to get into his corporation where he's kind of been ousted by the bigger business people. And I'd imagine that's exactly the formula that this show's going to follow. So maybe it's the familiarity of the source material that makes people a little wary of it, or even a little bit just been there, done that, you know?
Exactly. And I think that's the problem that we suffer from.
To think how many times have we seen the character goes away, comes back to take over the business. We've seen that so many times.
Yeah. You sit on this, Malcolm.
Yeah.
I guess for me, I like the character Iron Fist. I used to read the Iron Fist comics here at my local library. Shout out to the VIP branch library. I used to read the comic books all the time. So I was excited for Iron Fist. I'm on the fence. I want to see what comes out. You don't get too many times where, you know, people start reviewing something and right off the rip they say, oh, this sucks. I agree with you all. I don't have much on it because I'm a person that I got to go see it. I feel like the first half is going to probably will be slow, and the second half is going to be jumping. So I guess that's where my point is on it. That's really what I feel like. The first half is going to probably be slow. The second half is going to be exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
But most definitely, guys, we do appreciate you all for following us and listening to us every Wednesday. If you don't know who we are Fandoms Anonymous. That's FANDOMSANONYMOUS. You can find us on Facebook. You can like our page. You can find us on YouTube at Fandoms Anonymous. On YouTube, where our Power Ranger movie countdown is coming up. Man, we got a lot of conversations coming up for you. We're dropping something new every day. And go check out my video where I finally got my Power Rangers Krispy Kreme box. Like Jeremy said, It is hilarious. We also are on Instagram. We're at Fandoms Anonymous Fandoms _Anonymous 17. We're on Twitter at Anonymous _Fan 17. But Kevin, where can everybody find you, man?
Hey, Facebook, Kevin Garson. There you go.
Most definitely. And Jeremy from the one and only Be Terrible Productions, where can everybody find you?
Check out Be Terrible Movies on YouTube for movie reviews and podcasts. I actually got some content up with both Kevin and Malcolm on the YouTube channel. You can check me out at Jeremy Be Terrible over on Twitter. Keep an eye out for our podcasts. They are released Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We play trivia every Monday. That one's released. You guys can play along on the Internet. It's a lot of fun. And one more plug, I do want to say you guys go check out the Facebook group, Fandoms Anonymous, because there's all sorts of great conversations going on. The community's very active and involved, and I just love dropping by and checking out what's going on over there.
Most definitely, guys. And don't forget to check out the Be Terrible Productions Facebook group as well. What's going on with me? I'm tongue-tied this morning. But, guys, thank you for joining us. We do appreciate it. I guess, always, we'll see you again next Wednesday. Have a good one.